trip, this time a solo canoe trip, and there's the ideal route and aspect of the trip, and then there's a whole bunch of question marks. So we're gonna have to see how this goes. The ideal route for this trip, I'm going to the Chiniguchi Waterway Provincial Park area, and north of there, including some of the Sturgeon River. The second night has to be at least at the top of Stouffer Lake, preferably on the Sturgeon, for me to make it around. If I'm short of that, for whatever reason, I will have to board and do some kind of travel on that Stouffer, Frederick, and south of it on the Chiniguchi, and make a trip out of that, which is fine. The challenge, if you will, aside from just the paddling distance, is there's 28 portages, which amounts to something in the neighborhood of 10.5 kilometers of portaging over the 5 days. I thought of maybe trying to do some single carries on some of these portages where there's bush roads, but the weight's getting up to 135, 140 pounds, and I think that's probably ill-advised. I would say if today was ideal, I would be able to get up and go almost to McConnell Bay. Every kilometer you steal on a day ahead of time allows you to be, again, that much closer and hedge your bets for paddle out. So on my original stock version of this, I had a 31 kilometer paddle out, which is a lot. And although you're smelling the stable when you do that, and that does motivate you, that's still a long way, especially with, 3 or 4 portages. So by stealing a little bit each day, if it's possible, then I'm going to hopefully be at a better place where the last days may be 20K. And if I'm fit, that's reasonable. That's a comparatively leisurely paddle out.
Continue on Mattagamasi Lake Road for 5 kilometers.
brothers here, eh? See, the parking is organized.
Well, I'm underway now. It's 10:25, August 20th, 2025. So a little later than I was hoping, but the road, while good, is windy and up and down, and so you're kind of limited to 40 or 50k an hour, and there was a road grader also to avoid. But we're rolling. There's a bit of a headwind from the northeast, but it's not very strong, so I think that's going to be okay. Heading up on the northwest arm of Mattagamasi. It's in the low 20s. It's nice out here. One of the things that appeals to me about this area is that the lakes and the waterways are not too big, which will comparatively limit wind effects, and also makes it more interesting because it's more intimate. There's a bicycle-powered water pump, I think it is. Isn't that so cool? There you go. Probably to fill a tank or something. Good for them. I love it. So clearly off the grid. Hello, and thank you for watching this video. It is a pleasure to share my adventures with all of you. To help achieve my goal of at least 1,000 subscribers, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to Hiking with Henry and click on the like button for this video. It is completely free and would be of great help to me. Thank you very much. So I'm an hour and a half into my Chiniguchi trip and getting along pretty nice. Had a 10 to 15 kilometer wind in my pretty much headwind for about half of it. I've been able to hide a bit, which helps. And we are 6 kilometers and 43 into this, and we have 3.76 to go to the portage to get into Sylvester Lake and passing by Paradise Lagoon. So we'll see how this goes. I had said I wanted to be through all that in 3 hours. I think that's maybe going to be a fantasy, but that's the whole challenge of this trip, is whether or not you can stay on the timeline without being silly. There's no sign, but it seems to be in the right place. I think we're going to try it here. So this is the north end of the bay between the two portages heading towards Sylvester Lake. This is looking south. So I'm having lunch here on day one at the north end of the second portage. So there's Sylvester Lake, which is what I'm doing next. I did this in an hour and 15 minutes total, both of them, in the water in between, so pretty pleased with that. The second one, the 240, is pretty uphill, but given the weights and stuff, I feel like I'm managing pretty well. So still don't know how far I'm going to get. I've got a 180 at the end of this, which shouldn't be too bad, and then the 530 going into Chiniguchi. So we'll just have to keep going here and see. It's 2 o'clock and need to, at the utmost, 5 more hours. So we'll have to see just how this rolls out. But the weather's perfect. It's a beautiful place, and so far everything's going really well. We're into Sylvester, and now I have based on the math I did at the lunch, I would expect to be in the bottom end of Chiniguchi Lake by 5:30. It's an outside chance, but to get to McConnell tonight would be super duper. Saves me 5 or 6 for tomorrow's original plan. And if I can keep this up, then I should be able to get onto the Sturgeon sometime tomorrow afternoon, but we'll see. That was a pretty good uphill, that second portage, and I did okay on that, to be honest with you. So that bodes well maybe for that one into Chiniguchi, which is also supposed to be pretty steep. Anyhow, let's see what happens. connection between Wolf and Sylvester is a swift, almost a small rapid. I'm going to try and climb it with the big stick here. So I'm going to show one view of being a fool and one of a view of the front of the canoe. See if we have enough horsepower to do this. I don't know. We might get some money here. Come on, let's go. Up we go. Quote Buck Martinez, get up, get up. 11-inch canoe paddle has a purpose. There it is. That's what it's for. Ahead is Wolf Lake, and we've got a couple of K around to the left to the portage into Dudney, and then finally into Chiniguchi Lake. And it's just a question then of how far we go for the campsite. Now we're on beautiful Wolf Lake. Some pretty big hills here. Fantastic place. So we're on Dudney Lake, and one more portage for today. Today was the easiest of that, I think, with 4 portages and about 1.2 kilometers of net portage distance. Obviously I'm doing doubles, so my actual walking distance will be 3 times that. But that's no problem. It's expected. So the other end of Dudney, and then we got a 5:30, and then we're on Chiniguchi, and then it's just a question of how far we can go. So one thing that's probably not going to show up very well I guess, with the videos and the type of lenses they use. But the closeness of the field here, these hills are higher than what were typical in, say, Mattagamasi Lake, except where the mountains are, but certainly it just feels closer. There's just an interesting feel to this place, and it makes it more intimate. When I get to the end of Dudney here, then it's a 500 meter portage into Chiniguchi, the southeast bay. And from there, it's just a matter of how long I choose to paddle to get to whatever campsite it's going to be. So that's Dudney Lake. It is beautiful. So that's Dudney Lake, looking from the Chiniguchi portage, and hopefully in 4 days we'll see that again. But you can't beat the weather today. Just beautiful. 10 out of 10. What a beautiful place this is. This is the east side, and then I'm headed this way to that narrow low point there, and then there's a little passage through, and although this is a bit on an angle, that hill there is called the Elephant, so we're going to pass by that, and then I'm going to kind of go a bit to the right beyond this, and either something up on the north end of Chiniguchi or in McConnell Bay. So the sites that I originally planned are near the Elephant at the passage there, and they're fine, I guess. I haven't got quite there yet, but it's another couple of K. But I'm hoping to go a little further. It's 5:30. I've got sun until 8:15. So probably want to be on my site by 7 or a little bit after that, which means I've got an hour and a half plus or minus, and at 5.5 or 6, that gives me 7 to 8 kilometers of range left, which gets me also into the 30s, which is something that seems reasonable. But you can't beat the weather today. Just beautiful. 10 out of 10. What a beautiful place this is. The nice closed shorelines, nothing too far. You're not feeling like you're paddling across an ocean, and that's makes it interesting, and also maybe a little safer too with respect to the winds and so on. So we'll see. But so far today's been a great day. I'm very pleased with being able to carry the pack and the canoe on the trails. Had no pain or difficulty doing it, and I only did the longest portage was 5:30, and it wasn't very difficult terrain, but I was able to carry both the pack and the canoe the whole distance without stopping. So the land in front of me here is a long narrow strip gravel bar, which is what we call an esker, and it runs through this lake. There's some gaps, I guess, where it's been eroded, and this of course is a glacial riverbed. So when the glaciers melted, there were rivers on them and in them, and as the river became flatter in places and slowed down a bit, it would drop the gravels, the boulders, the whatever, depending on the speed of the water. And when the entire glacier finally melted, the only thing left was the gravel. So even though it was a riverbed, it's now a ridge, because it had built up over 1,000 odd years as the glaciers melted. So this is what this feature is there, sunlit on the right side of this video. So it's kind of neat. This is the passage in the middle of Chiniguchi Lake near campsite 1B. So we'll see what we can find. I don't intend to stop here, but just wanted to explore it. Then we'll go north on Chiniguchi past the elephant. That's down towards the sun here, so be too bright probably. So this hill is called the Elephant, and it's in shade right now. Hopefully I can do it a little bit because there's cliffs on it. Apparently there's a scramble trail up there. It's about 600 feet high, and this is on the west shore of Chiniguchi Lake. And I had no intention of climbing it, but I wanted to go by it and see it. And it's beautiful here. So I'm heading on, try and find a campsite further north so to cut down on my distance tomorrow and try to hedge this trip a little bit. So this is campsite on the northern Chiniguchi Lake on the east side, and I'm hoping it'll be a nice one because I'm kind of getting tired. It's 7 o'clock. I've been at it for 8.5 hours, so let's see what we got. There you go, 31. Okay. Oops. So this campsite should be okay. It's a little more work, but it's got a nice nice sand beach, makes that easy. And so here's the put in, and then I've got to carry everything up the hill. So there's this beautiful view of the water here, but the ridge is crowned, so there's always a chance of something rolling off into the water, so I didn't really want to put my stuff there. But I found this place that's flatter back in the back here a bit, so that'll be fine. And I'll also want to put the food barrels somewhere so they're not going to get rolled into the water if something is around. And then in back here I've got a tree with my water bag on it, and then further back I got my tent. Now there isn't anything level here, which is kind of tough, but got my head high here, and hopefully it'll be okay with the air mattress. That tends to bounce a bit sometimes, but hopefully side to side isn't too bad. Doesn't seem to be a kaibo here, so I found my favorite tree and we'll go from there. One of the coolest things about these bear vaults, I've got two BV500s, is as you can see the stuff through the side. So you can think, okay, I need whatever, and then you can make a strategic way to get it out without dumping the whole thing on the ground. They're the best. Now, I'm not saying there are other ones that aren't openable. I have no idea, but I love these things. So after all that, today, my dinner is not very huge. I had a lot to eat during the day. I've got 3 muffins, got some Gatorade, a pudding, some cookies, and 2 protein drinks. And that's pretty much it for me tonight, and I think I'll be fine. And tomorrow we start again. I began my trip around 10:30 a.m. at the Mattagamasi Lake put-in marked item 1. This is at the end of a 27-kilometer well-maintained gravel road. After paddling about 10 kilometers into the north arm, I did 200 to 250-meter portages marked item 2, and these are separated by a small pond that then got me into Sylvester Lake. My paddle up the small rapid into Wolf Lake was at item 3, and after paddling Dudney and a good portion of Chiniguchi Lake, I arrived at my campsite marked item 4. Totals for day 1 of my Chiniguchi Wolf canoe trip were 26.4 kilometers of paddling, 4.3 kilometers of double portaging over 4 portages, for a total of 30.7 kilometers of human-powered travel, and this took me 8 hours and 16 minutes. I took 1 lunch break. It was under relatively ideal conditions with limited wind and nice temperatures. What a wonderful day.